Welcome to Rebecca Sounds Reveille. What a fun show today is going to be because I have somebody who wants to focus on talking about our youth. And I've got to tell you, this is a really much needed area to talk about because there's so many things that go on in the world today. And the youth often get overlooked with all of these things that have been happening that are so important, that have been taking our mind off of everything else. And we've been focused on some things that we need to reshift away from and start thinking about the younger generation. With me today, I have somebody who's the founder and CEO of DenFlint Connections, LLC. He's been on a mission ever since its inception because he wants to inspire and lead others to walk in their true path and light. He is a master in, so many things: group economics, large group planning, also implementation for not only small but large groups. He is a conduit in connecting others. This is so great. You're going to hear so much more from him today. But these things that he does really motivates and inspires him when he sees the light shine through other people based on all the things that he's got going on. The cornerstone is his connection with God, and it has laid a huge foundation for raising his family, being a husband for 31 years, being a Black minority, and having a business for over 15 years. It's also helped him develop just this really quiet spirit, which is, I think, why his connection and the large connection that he has with others really is leading them. You're going to hear it in a really, really neat way. His history has really shaped his mission today because he continues to foster, like I said before, group economics, but also obtaining tax-based religious wealth. And he has, this is really incredible. You may have heard of a lot of numbers, Pareto principles, all of these things, but he's got a monthly plan. It's a 60-40-10 rule. And this budget plan is something that is making huge waves in people's finances. And I hope we have enough time for him to share with us a little bit about that today. He also talks about to others. With us today is Lawrenece J Hampton Sr. Welcome to the show, Lawrence.
Thank you, Rebecca. That was a great introduction.
Well, I am so glad because it's all about you and the things that you're doing. And I'm really excited because you have a faith-based that has made all of these things, these connections that you do, just absolutely a lot more profound than the things that we can do all on our own. I mean, the things that we can do on our own might be here, but when they're faith-based, oh man, it's over the top and the blessings just overpour. And you do this a lot, and you work a lot with youth. And I know today that that's really what is on your mind, is talking about our youth. And I really want to hear all about this.
But thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank you for giving me your opportunity on your platform, which I love. What I developed with the youth is, I guess when I was a young man and I was working and just got out of high school, I didn't understand wealth. I didn't understand what I was going to do in my life. But I knew I had to get a job. And so when I got a job, I was blessed to work for a guy who was an entrepreneur. And he actually started me with life insurance. And so I was a young man and he had me paying life insurance. I was like, why are you having me paying life insurance? But I didn't argue with him because he gave me my first job.
Mm-hmm.
And he taught me marketing. He taught me how to, what you order compared to you order compared to your customers, what they like. So I learned those things from him. But the most important thing I learned from him was taking care of things beyond what you can see. So when I started going through that process, I got jobs and I figured out that it's called righteous wealth. See,
Okay.
a lot of people have wealth, or a lot of people might make some money, but righteous wealth helps you keep it and not be emotional or um, have problems when you have wealth. So when you have wealth, you still must stay righteous. And a lot of time, they have the old saying, if you give somebody some money, they're gonna do more what their bad side is. So righteous wealth is what I talk to the children about. Like, look, you all guys have talent. God give us all talent.
How do you start accumulating righteous wealth?
That's a great question. The first thing is you need to save 1/10 of your earning per month, per day. And what
Okay.
that means is that a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, we, when I have that connection with God, you have to have a connection with God to establish righteous wealth. And then don't let anyone come between that connection. Once you have
Okay.
that connection with God, then your relationships that God brings into your life, or you bring into your life as well, you will begin to understand that these people are here to enhance you, or someone is not in to enhance you. And so when you decide to
Okay.
1/10 of your wealth, you're giving you trust God trusted you with 100% of your wealth. Now you're going to trust him with 90% of your wealth.
This is really interesting because oftentimes a lot of people don't understand how when you give, you end up multiplying not only your worth or the gifts that you get back, but also for other people. And it's really amazing, that principle. And oftentimes we just look at things like, this is the amount that I have right now. I need to hang on to it because I need every cent for some kind of a bill or for food or whatever it is. And it's amazing because I've heard so many people say, I was at the last $20 that I had and I gave it to this person because I felt they were in a lot more need than I was. And the next thing you know, my blessings just were overflowed and I didn't even expect it. So it's really neat
Mm,
that you're sharing that. Um, because oftentimes, like I said, people really want to hang on to the money, especially when you're younger. I remember when I was at first on my own at 18, I was hanging on to every
mm,
cent that I could because I didn't think I was going to make it.
absolutely.
Hmm.
And that's where I'm starting from with that. I'm glad you went there. Is because I was a high school coach for over 20 years. And I learned group economics from that. Like we went to Hawaii, DC, and so we had over probably about 35 kids to 45 kids. Then some parents want to come along. So they forced me into group economics. I didn't understand group economics. And so when you were saying that, I was thinking that that's exactly what I want to teach the youth today. And that's what DenFlint is about. We have went to the point where we DenFlint Connections, and we want to connect people together. And so what I mean by that is if you take 25 people, okay,
Okay.
and who just got out of high school, they're 18, they're 19, and
Okay.
they understand the 1/10 of say what you earn, they will become a unit. So now just that unit together, no matter who they come into their life, no matter they're 25 now, they're 28 later, so 10 years later, that unit they started together, they will be able to help each other. What I mean by that. So if you have 25 people decide to be a tax base and they
Okay.
work together, okay,
Hmm.
and just those 25 people, and then they elect a governor, because you always got to have a somewhat of a leader.
Okay.
They elect a semi-governor, and then they elect a human resource. Out of
Okay.
those 25 people just got out of high school, if they understand that they're helping each other, they can invest together, they can learn together, they
Okay.
can they can the big part of it is if one of them lose their jobs, we all lost a job, so we got to make sure that person working based on my contacts that they can help. When I got out of high school at 18, 19, I didn't have any idea how to sell anything. I thought salesman was like the worst job you can have in your life. And I realized that as I got older and started running a business, that's scary. That's why people run away from sales, because they don't want to hear no. But if you have 25 people backing you, or 24, you have 24 people backing you, you'll feel better to approach a job that, or give information to approach a job that you wouldn't did if you stayed by yourself.
Okay, so there's a few things that I'm thinking, as you know, my wheels are spinning as you're saying this, because this
Mhm.
concept that you have created is massive on so many levels. One of which I had thought about, wow, you're pulling your money together. The amounts you could do with investments on that alone. I mean, that whole group of 25 could become millionaires. I mean, very, very.
Absolutely.
The other thing that I liked that you said is you're all mentoring each other, because all the skills and experiences that each one is learning is going to be able to be given to the other members of the group. And in addition to that, when you said one of them, let's say one of them isn't working, well, there is 25 opportunities for them to know somebody, or 24 other opportunities for them to know
24.
somebody and possibly get a job. Plus, if they need references, there's 24 references they've got right off the bat. And a lot of people have a lot of trouble just getting 3.
That is true, Rebecca. That is so true. And you have people who supporting you, and your network grows. Like we work on LinkedIn, Facebook. Since I've been in LA, I've only been in LA for 90 days. And I,
Okay.
I was in Tucson for 21 years. And
Long
since
time.
I've been in LA, it has taught me networking is big. And I was like, well, what happens if you have someone who's in your group? Maybe someone's in Miami, maybe someone's in New York, maybe someone's in Chicago, Atlanta,
Okay.
Los Angeles, or Texas. And so now you might have opportunity that comes in your life. I don't know what each person don't know what opportunity comes in their life, but once it does, they love to share it.
True.
Everyone love everyone love to talk about what they do in life.
That
Everyone.
is that is so true. So I want to take this a notch down the education chain for a second,
Okay.
because
Okay.
we have a lot of youth that are around the ages of 8 to 10 that have the knowledge that a lot, and when you went back in high school, there were 15 and 17-year-olds way back when I was growing up, but these 8 to 10-year-old uh, youth members, or members within our society, they are so educated, they are so far advanced, that I think if you're talking about the junior high or middle school level, if they started working on that group
Mm.
at that age, by the time they actually graduate high school, they would have established a group of 25 trusted peers that they could start investing their money. And I bet you some of them, because there was a team of high schoolers about a year ago that hit this investing. They capitalized on these small stocks or penny stocks or something, and it just blew everybody away. I mean, it was very newsworthy. It was a big ordeal. So I know that there are people in high school, the students that are in high school, that age group, they are doing things. They're getting involved with finances. So teaching it, I think, just the concept of building a network, not necessarily finances at that point, but just building that so that they have that team later on. Wow, huge. And I know that what are the age groups of the youth? I know you're involved with youth. What are the age groups of the youth that you have been involved with over this period of time? Because you've been doing this for 20 plus years.
And literally, it's so easy to talk to you. You and I have such easy conversation because you just went exactly where I was going. We're saying the 12-year-old, we're going from 12 to 29.
Okay, 12 to
And
29.
yes, and the reason why we starting at 12 is because we feel like this is eliminate the differences of race in the society. Where I mean by
Oh,
that
right.
is most people want to start well, not some people want to start an organization. Say, oh, we want to be Black Lives Matter, or we want to be Irish is for Irish. Okay, we're not doing that. We're saying youth. When I coach basketball, I coach so many different backgrounds. I don't even look at race anymore. So when I talk to a young man or a young lady, I look at them as a person. So what I mean by that is, so we're after 12 to 29, no particular moniker. And so what I mean by 12, the system is basically is failing our youth. And I'm not trying to get on no government or anyone. It's just failing our youth because
Right.
they're coming out just learning, like sit still, stand still learning. We want them to be active learners. And what I mean by that is when COVID hit, it gave me this idea and I started writing it down. This is where I came from, this connection. When COVID hit, these kids start learning from home over the computer, like you and I talking,
Right.
right? Well, the parents had to go to work, right? Well, what do you think those kids was doing at home? Partying. They go like, I'll check in with Rebecca every now and then. So I said,
Right.
wait a minute. My son, I have three young men from a marriage of 31 years. They're 29, 25. He just had a birthday, and
Wow.
20. He's about to have
Wow.
a birthday in August. And I started looking at them and I was like, they would have had a blast. My wife at work, I'm at work. They would have had everything and everything, right? So I said, well, wait a minute. We want to enhance, fulfill what the education they gave us. They have done a great job of building a structure to educate us. So we
Right.
want DenFlint Connection is starting now. We want to bring these folks in. That's why I'm gonna give you all my social media and enhance them and show them, hey, look, parents, because I talked to some parents and the kids, we're going to have the kids work by day and study at night. And so people like, some people told me, hey, that's controversial. You can't do that. All I know is when I finally started to become successful, I used to coach. I used to go to work as an electrician and then
Okay.
get off and coach kids for 5 hours a night. So I was working 9 hours a day,
Okay.
5 hours at night. But the night job was fun. I was coaching. I turned that into a career. So what I'm want to the 25 people who's in a group, they're going to do more than the next man.
That
And
makes a
so
lot.
you start
Yeah.
with the youth.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And I like how focused you are in ensuring that there's a diversity aspect and not having these lenses on that create these barriers for building relationships. That is that is so important.
And that's so, and you just, why are you reading my mind? Relationships is what I was going to go on next. Relationships can be intimate, which is in your wife or your husband. It could be, not could be, it will be. So you're going to have all these different relationships that we need to start teaching them from a youth. So how to build, not toxic, it's cancel culture now, right?
Yes.
And so what we're want to teach them is that you have to foster these relationships and then learn to take the good with the bad, but
Right.
but continue to be in that relationship with that person because y'all know y'all have a short-term goal, learn middle goal, and long-term goal. Your short-term goal have you doing cancel culture. Your middle goal will have you, hey, wow, I remember Rebecca was 18, now she's 21, or now she's 25. And her and I still have a relationship. She went lived her life, I lived my life, but we have a group economic relationship.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And what I think, in addition to all of that, that is so crucial to this is that you're giving them the ability to look at things in a positive, moving forward direction versus the negative things that are bringing society down right now. We can
Absolutely.
harp and grind on all of these things. And when that negativity comes into our world, it is so unhealthy that it's really hard to grow into another forward thinking process. But if we establish this early on, it allows a completely different internal makeup and ability to shift things into an aspect that's healthy. So doing that with this age group that you're talking about is
Yes.
incredible because you're taking down
Yes.
all these barriers, you're creating all of these healthy relationships, you're equipping them with tools and resources and the potential for finances that's going to set them up for just a bountiful future on all kinds of levels. Beautiful.
Well, and you're absolutely right on that because it's concepts that I have learned throughout my 50 some years of living. And what I mean by that is that I have dealt with a lot of organizations. I ain't dealt with religious organizations. I ain't dealt with civil organizations. And so when I came into it, I seen what market they was going after or how they brought people together. And so
Mhm.
when I started working with the youth really energized me. When if you're
Oh,
like I just told you, I just came back from Oakland and I got in at 4 o'clock, and I was thinking about the youth to do your show today because I was like, they always energize me. They just bring so much energy. And so when I was coaching basketball, they just come up with just the greatest things and it's, like things that they wish would happen. And I used to always tell them, why won't you start that? Or why wouldn't
yeah.
you, get your group? Because in high school, think about it, before social media, and high school was the time that you met the most people in your life at one time. When you go to work, you work by yourself. You got like 2 or 3 people. You might, if you work in a warehouse, you got 10 people standing next to you and 300 people in the, but in high school, you had that. And so that's where it developed from because, I looked at my sons and my sons was all into basketball. They was really great at it. I also seen that their most fun time was in high school like me. And so I said, whoa, wait a minute. What if you can bring that high school additives into your adult life instead of being isolated, instead of being depressed, so I don't believe in, once I told you that I let God, I walk with God and God's my closest friend now, then everyone else is a relationship after that. Um, Depression is hard for me because I read Job and Job talks about where and Isaiah, and they talk about where the ants get up in the morning and they go to work with no leader. They
Oh,
have no leader. They don't have a general. They don't have a leader. But when they come back at night, they all contributed to that food that day. They have enough to survive the winter. So they only work during the summer. You don't see ants outside. So when I was reading that, I said, that's the concept of DenFlint Connection. I want to, and then just that 25 group, then they're going to connect to another 25 group. And
I
you
get
have
it.
weekly meetings. It's just like if you have a governor and then you have weekly meetings within that 25. You have monthly meeting once a month with that 50, and then it start growing. Sort of like Facebook, but now you have to be a member. We don't want followers. We want people who's paid to follow. And what I mean by that, say if
Yes,
you in high school, you're 12-year-old, you make $5 a month, or let's say $10 a month. You pay your 1/10, you in the group. That's $1.
right.
Now, say if you're in high school and you're this basketball player, since I know people like that, you're a star and you make 5,000 a month. You're still connected to that person who made $1 a month. And now, when you guys all come together, that one person is only paying what God blessed them with. You're not looking at, oh, well, I'm paying more. No, you're not. You're paying what God bless you with. I would love to pay 5,000 a month. That means I'm making what a month.
Right.
So,
Right.
and then the last part of that is we also is helping them get jobs. So DenFlint is going to be out actively searching to talk to people to who's adults and say, hey, look, can you sponsor this kid? What do you mean sponsor? He's going to come work for you. What do you need? You need your laundry done, you need your car done, you need your lawn done, you need graphic design, whatever the skill that the kid have, we're going to be actively trying to get at least 25 people in every group who would hire them. So whether it's whatever, so instead of just getting out of high school and say, oh, I got to go work for McDonald's, which I love McDonald's, I got to go work for whatever corporation. Now they can actually go to a corporation that they actually have talent in, and because we secured that for them, and we'll love to them have over 30,000, 35,000 a year. That's before taxes. That's $200 a month. If you look at that, $200 a month times 25, and those group is together, they will be very successful economically.
Yes, they will. So what I'd like to know, Lawrence, is are you establishing these groups in the location that you're in, or are you able to help people across the nation and create these groups?
That's a great question. Again, you reading my mind. I'm starting locally. Why? Because I'm on the ground. And so I'm starting locally, and I have talked to parents, and I got 5 people right now who does it. And that's a blessing because they trust me and they understand that it's a righteous wealth. See, when I came out to LA 90 days ago, like I said, roughly 90 days ago, I was in a 31-year relationship, raising kids, doing things that basically for them. So when I
Right.
came out here, I always just have the feeling for the neighborhood. So they became my family. So I would start just when I was coaching or whatever business I did, I just started talking to parents about what I was asking. It's like, you know what? My kid messed around the whole COVID year. He didn't do nothing. I said, well, maybe he should be working and going to school. So
Hmm.
you can do it during the middle or the end. So what I did is, as I start coaching kids, oh, I call them kids. Under 29 to me is kids. I'm sorry, young people. But as I start coaching them, I start educating them. Like, look, when you get out of high school, especially the 18-year-old, I got 3 of them who's 18, who just graduated from high school,
Right.
18, 17. And I was like, what you gonna do with your life? And they're like, well, I don't know. I can go to military, I can go to college, I can go to work. I said, well, whatever you do, you have to have a base, someone that supports you and can mentor you. So when you're on the
Yeah.
ground, so that allowed me to talk to them. Well, once I tell people this 18 to 29, I got one person who forced their way into the group. They over 29. And I said, look, I'm not trying to really deal with them right now. They're like, I'm gonna pay what you said. And so once I start explaining to them that, hey, look, now you have someone else helping you get a job instead of Indeed and LinkedIn, who just kind of marketing you.
Sure.
These now someone's actually actively looking, not really looking, but like, hey, I'm at, whatever work you do, like the work you do, which is why I wanted to come on your show. You got contacts from there. So if someone maybe a graphic designer and they're
Right.
started as a youth, they can actually call you, apply, and maybe or may not get the job, but they have the opportunity that they wouldn't know about for another 10 years. So we want to accelerate their contacts.
So I would absolutely love to help accelerate the contacts of the youth that you are working with, whether it's through internships or something that ends up landing them a job. Send them my way. I've got lots of people all the time that are asking
Wow.
for different help. So certainly feel free to, shoot there. I know that through this, you're probably teaching them resume skills and interview skills. And I mean, whatever that we can do to help get them active and involved and get the group going, because this is, I think, on every level, a very healthy way to get our youth moving in the right direction. And I'm all for it.
Absolutely. Instead of, and see now, like people, like our society sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes they have the people teach the negative or this is what not happening. Where a tax base eliminates that. You
Right.
cannot blame someone else. You have 20 other 4 people who's moving forward with you. And even if you all work at your local store, your local Fry's, your local Kroger's, all 24, right? Well, when y'all come back together, now someone in that Kroger's have bigger dreams. I used to be
Right.
an electrician. And I one day told my wife, I'm done being an electrician. She looked at me like I was crazy because I was making pretty good money.
Right.
I had pretty good benefits. And she looked at me like I was crazy. But if it took me almost 10 years out of high school to figure out I want to be a coach. What if
Okay.
you now figure that out that like what you're doing? What if you figured that out when you was 19? Because someone like you was able to come and mentor them. And so what we do is once we get those 25 people together, we start teaching group economics. But I learned as a head coach, you need great assistance. So what we do now is we go to the local colleges and get interns in that field that you're interested in. So we got CEOs, we go after the accountants, we go out. So those people comes in, they be very happy to. They sign up and they just waiting for the group to expand to 25 to teach the youth, a 12-year-old learning from let's say a 22-year-old, 23-year-old who's a CEO and they base his business colleges at the USC, Southern California or UCLA.
I love it. I think that this is a really, really good program that you have started. I really want to see it be successful. I'd like to get people connected with you because connections are it. There's so many people connected, especially to the area that you're currently in. I mean, the dense population that you're in, there is bound to be a lot of groups that can get started, can be mentored. You and the concept that you have, I mean, with what you're doing, it's just going to grow. So let me ask you before I let you go,
Yes,
can you
ma'am.
give us all your social media contacts that you would like people to get connected with you on?
Thank you. Um, the my LinkedIn is going to be Coach Law, DenFlint Connections. And it was funny you said connections. We named that business, God and I, in 2007.
Oh,
It wasn't
wow.
even social media then. I started this in 2007, but I started a basketball business, but I didn't want to name it after myself because that's vain to me. So I called it DenFlint Connection because I lived in Denver for 17 years and I lived in Flint for
Of Flint,
17 years.
Michigan.
Yes.
Okay.
And then
Uh-huh.
connection was because I was just meeting so many people. And so I said, well, that's the perfect name. So DenFlint Connections, my email will be denflintconnection05 at gmail.com. I don't have a Facebook, but it's soon to be reconstructed. My Instagram is going to be simple, Lawrence Hampton at Coach Law, DenFlint Connections. And I'm working on some other social media because I'm more hands-on, but I'm eventually realizing I need to go to that.
Yeah.
But I do have a
Yeah.
Venmo. I do have a Venmo because I do connect with people to help them with books and T-shirts, and that's going to be DenFlint Connection at Cat Adams 69. I
Cat,
was born in
CAT or
19
KAT?
CAT,
Okay. Cat
and I
Adams.
was born in 69. So people know my age, which I have no problem with. I'm blessed to be there. But reason why I put that out there like that, I don't like to repeat it over and over and over because I know that first 25, because we working on that first 25, it's going to be special. They're going to be like the four founders of the United States. Because United States, I studied that, and I love to get into. I love history, and I study how they started this country. I study how Britain started their country. I study how the Greeks and the Romans started their country, and they all connected. And one of the things that connected them was like-minded people with a dream, and say, hey, look, we as 18 years old, we don't have to wait on mommy and daddy. We can literally work on ourselves and start building and investing into things that we can. But one thing that we definitely teach is control your expenditure.
Excellent. I mean, this is so many really healthy levels. I love this. And I can't wait to hear how this is growing. So I will have you back on the show. I want to hear more.
Thank
We
you.
want to get things directed in your way. So I will get that out for you as well. And I can't thank you enough for spending and dedicating your focus and your time and attention on our youth. It is so much needed. I also thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Rebecca. I appreciate you having me. And just I mean, it seems like we have you when you and I talk. It seems like you and I have a common understanding. And I mean, you were just reading my mind on some of those things, and I appreciate that.
I'm so all about having healthy relationships, healthy fiscal. I mean, just all of it. Life really needs to have on a massive scale, a really different perspective than what it's at right now. And if the climate that we're looking at right now on every level is really all resentment, frustration, anger, toxicity, it's really difficult to be able to move forward in really healthy manner until we get mentors that have the same
Uh,
focus and we start changing those things. And sometimes it's just on an individual one by one level. And I love it. So I want to thank you again. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
But just to end that is with you people, I know people who follow you know what you do, but you have to tell them what you started in. And to me, that's why you and I connected. Remember, we connected
Right, right.
on that telephone call, and I was just so amazed at what you did, at what you do.
Yeah, no, my goal has been providing people tools and resources to help them overcome domestic violence and trauma. And as I've done that, things have just evolved. And that's how this show came about, was to provide tools, resources, hope, motivation with every single episode that somebody listens. They either are able to obtain something for themselves, for a member of their family, a friend, a coworker, or somebody. And so if something on every episode affects somebody that makes a significant little change, that's the little ripple effect that we need to make it better. So I want to thank you for being on.
Thank you, Rebecca. You have a great day.
And I want to thank all of you for tuning in to another episode of Rebecca Sounds Reveille. I challenge you to get connected with Lawrence and see what we can do to build his group up to 25 and see where it goes from there. And maybe even get his insight on how you can do something that's going to help the youth in your area. This is what we need to do. And I thank you for tuning in to another episode. And I really ask that you get this out to all of your friends, your family, everybody you know on social media, and everybody you don't. Thanks for watching.